Good morning. I think it's like almost 5 o'clock in the morning. My sleep has been a little weird lately because from Saturday night, I'd say around 9 o'clock's when I noticed it because I'd taken a nap. And I woke up and my cat was so cuddled up next to me. And I was like, geez, dude. I'm like starting to shiver. I'm like, what the heck's going on in here? So said to him, I'm going to go turn the heat up. And I realized there was no power in my house at all. So from Saturday at that point in time, all the way till Wednesday, which was yesterday, afternoon, there was no power in my house at all. There was nothing, um, including heat. Meaning, I had on a comforter, a feather duvet, a wool blanket, a crocheted blanket, and a flannel so that if I sweat, um, sheet. And I had this much of my face. All of this was the only amount of skin you could see. However, some of the days it was warm enough to go out, that was warmer outside than it was inside. So I forewent all of my routines. And my entire face got chapped. And I was told that that's because it was so cold, the air was cold. So my entire face got chapped. um, and I tried to put on my regular moisturizer yesterday, and it's less red than it was. For some reason, I get this right here, and right here is where if I know I'm allergic to something or my skin my skin is going to be sensitive. This happens right here. My skin was sensitive. So the first thing I did when I got heat back was I filled all my water jugs up. I didn't realize I had all those water jugs. I had 5.5 gallons worth of filtered water under my counter. I didn't realize it was filtered water. I thought it was just water from the tap. I was like, that's going to be nasty, but I'll use it. It was so cold that I couldn't tell. Actually, it was warmer outside than it was inside some of the days. So I'd leave the door open to get some of the heat in. So when I left the door open is when I'd cook, because I would spark up my propane stove. Well, my stove is a gas stove. It's never used. I don't use the oven. It's got ceramic tiles over it. It's an extra piece of counter. But don't know if I should tell people this. I took a lighter. I turned the gas part on, and I took a lighter and I lit the one burner. Some people already know that trick. However, some people don't know that you need to ventilate, because yes, you've got a fire going, and yes, there's gas going, but that fire is not burning that gas. It's staying in your environment. So while I had the door open, I'd cook, and I would make hot coffee, and I'd put it in the thermos, the hot coffee that is, in the thermos, and I'd have hot coffee for most of the day. Except for it almost instantly turned cold. Oh, excuse me. It almost instantly turned cold right outside of the thermos. So I had to hurry up and have it. So while I was filling up the water bottles, I was cooking on my hot plate. It's just a burner with some electricity to it, really, is what it is. Um, I cooked some more coffee, 2 thermoses full of coffee, and I cooked another. I added more into my pot of beans because that's what I was doing. It would get low, and I'd be like, it would get low, and I would be like, yeah, I'm still hungry, and there's nothing going on. I don't have anything. So I would just add some rice or some extra beans or some vegetables or some stuff that needed to be cooked, for one thing. I mean, my whole house was a refrigerator. You could see your breath inside. It was 32 Fahrenheit, 0 Celsius at one point in one morning. That's the coldest it ever got. So I tried using this chimney thing. That thing's going out in the yard as a decoration or a planter or something. Oh, I wonder if I could. If I could plant some like herbs and vegetables and stuff, and not vegetables or anything, but like onion or like an onion or some garlic plant or some sort of plant or something in it, because animals can't get to it. If I did that, there goes Tress's mind again. That thing's going out in the yard because the first thing I did was I was like, I'm going to light some candles inside this thing and get some warmth in here. What happened is I lit some candles inside of that thing and got some smoke in here. So I was like, I opened the door and out with the smoke went the warmth that came from the candles. So don't try to heat your house with candles. Oh, I was wearing 2 pairs of socks, a pair of undies, a pair of shorts, a pair of slim, stretchy pants, a pair of jeans, and a pair of corduroy pants. So I could barely walk. And then my shirt, I had on a t-shirt, a sweater, a hoodie, a poncho, a light jacket, and a Carhartt. And then I had on, I don't even know if I can find them right now, gloves. I had gloves, and I made a hat. And a scarf. And like I said, the only part of my face you could see was this. And I looked awfully funny running around in all those clothes. I basically had my entire closet on. Oh, and my cats. They stayed on my lap and kept themselves warm, but they didn't know they were keeping me warm too. I took a video like the first day, but I was like, I'm going to trash this and just do like a commentary. And I walked the town Tuesday, not yesterday, but Tuesday, I think. And I saw a lot of tree damage. A lot of tree damage. That my reasoning for going, and no, it was yesterday because it was windy. It was before the power came back. My reasoning for going out for walks, and I'd go out in the yard and I'd just chop up ice and kick ice off of trees and and in the weeds that were sticking up out from underneath the snow and stuff. I'd kick those and break them and that kind of stuff. I just kept moving because I was afraid that if I didn't keep moving that I'd stop being able to move. The craziest time of my life, man. I was so cold. One of the first things after I did the cooking, because obviously you don't leave cooking on the stove, is I went and I took a shower. This is Aunt T's hair without all that oil. um, I just didn't feel like doing all that yesterday when I took the bath. I was like, oh, it feels so good. It feels so good. I took a tumble in my kitchen about Sunday, maybe Monday. And, well, I have those yoga mats on my floor and they're blue. So is my step stool. Well, I'd had one of my solar lights on and I was looking for something. I think I was looking for one of those. Those things are junk, and I don't know why I thought I was going to rely on them. One of those hand crank chargers, because my phone went to 0. Um, you can hand crank those, and you can get 5% maybe, and those are good for emergencies. But it wouldn't have. I could have sat there for the whole 4 days, and I'd have been at 50% by the time the lights came back or something, maybe. Anyway, it's blue, and so are the yoga mats on my floor, and I didn't see the thing. I tripped over it and started to fall. So I tucked my head like this in so I didn't hit my head. I tuck and roll. I tucked and rolled. Um just as the ice storm hit, Pam's mom hurt hurt herself and ended up in the emergency room. And then when I was falling, that's the only thing I could think about was I can't call anybody, so I tuck and rolled. My cats are still, well, she's gone. She was on me. They still think it's ice. It's Stormageddon 2025. He still thinks, oh, we don't really need the flash on. He still thinks mommy's lap's the best place to be. Mom's going to say I'm stupid. But everybody else I've said this to said I was pretty smart for staying home. Because this sounded like the plot of the next true crime mystery. Sibling who has absolutely nothing to do with me year round. I mean, could stomp my face in the dirt and poop on my back and walk away laughing. Okay? Comes over and says, my boyfriend got me a motel room. But since they're my ride, I've offered it to the next door neighbors. But I'm offering it to you too. Now, I understand being in a room with somebody you can't stand and a creepy guy and his wife isn't ideal, but would you like to come and get some warm? Creepy guy Ed, the next door neighbor. One day, I want to say about 5, maybe longer than that, helped himself to walking into my house. He just walked up the stairs. The door was open because it was a hot day. Walked up the stairs, walked in my house, and sat down in my chair. He was drunk. I'm like, okay. And then his wife happens to be sibling's best friend. Or one of her friends. The reason she's called her friend is because she has a car. The woman next door, the friend, doesn't realize that she's being used. Whatever. Not my business. So she said, yeah, I realize it's not really ideal. So I looked at her and I said, no, my cat's 12 years old and he needs a warm space to be. I said, you know his health issues. You gave him to me. She said, This is a human life we're talking about. Human lives over top of animal lives. And I looked at her and I said, no, thank you, Squeaky needs me. With the thought in my head of, you don't give a care about me. Any time of the year. What's up? This is fishy and it's weird that you're being nice. So it would have been her, my arch enemy, the creepy dude at next door, and his wife that would do anything for both of them, and their two cold, hungry dogs in a motel room, and me. Didn't sound safe. Not that I should have to worry about my own flesh and blood like that, but you just never know with some people. And I know I've had a few things plotted in my head. Never gonna carry it out because my mind is like The Sims. I can get rid of the trash many, 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 many times, many, many ways in my mind, but I'm not gonna act on it. I don't know, as if she wouldn't, because recently a lot of people just quit talking to her in the family. They just stopped. And they're talking to me now. So I don't know as if she wouldn't plot something. So here I was, laying in my bed, listening to 2 different generators around me. I'm like, and my phone's useless, especially when it's cold like that. Your battery dies faster. And if it's hot, your phone overheats. So that was dead. My power bank was gone. It was, but it was helpful enough to keep my phone going for 1 extra day. So I ordered 2 more of them. I was like, oh, that gave me 3 days worth of energy. This is the result of being bored. Because I would have my solar lights for part of the time, but they didn't get a really good charge because there wasn't a lot of sunshine. So during the day, I started reading this book. Oh, and that reminds me, I gotta take that out to the mailbox later. I started reading this book. I only got so far because it's kind of misleading. They're not really wild women, but they were revolutionary. They were revolutionary women. They're just not like, Calamity Jane or anything like that. They just stood up for themselves. And it's funny because the author's from Ohio. But I started reading that book. And I also did a lot of crocheting. I was practicing a certain stitch that I learned. I hear you purring down there, Squeaka baby. So Mama love you all the time. Aren't you a Hannah boy? Gosh, you're silky. Yes. And you don't have that worried look on your face anymore. So that's what I did when the light was when it was daylight. It was still gray, but there was still enough light in the house to do stuff. My arthritis isn't happy with me. That bump right there apparently is arthritis. I think this bumps up too more than the joint right there bumps up more. My wrists don't feel good. I have a few bruises. So some of the aching and stuff is from when I fell. Some of them it's from just actually I didn't feel any pain when my hands were that cold. So I didn't realize that I was hurting my hands. I'm going to kind of end this right here because people have been saying I talk too long. I talk too much. I don't, really do anything. Coming straight from the source, my mother. She was very. She didn't put it in the comments, but there's a few things she said I need to work on, including wearing a mic, which I'm not. I can't think of anything else to say anyway, and I'm just laying here. Later on, I'll take you for a walk through the town, and I'll show you what happened to the trees and stuff. One almost landed on a dude's house. I looked and I saw his truck was parked where it wasn't. It wasn't parked in its in his driveway, and behind his house it was like almost literally on almost like the branches, the little tiny branches were tickling the side of the house. I mean, it was like that close. So later on I'll take you out and show you what's going on, especially since it's been melting all night. So I'm gonna yawn in your face and end this here, and I'll see you for another video another time. Bye.